I just wonder whether we're looking back now at a side that has been flogged since the Club World Cup. Are we looking at a squad of players that perhaps don't have anything to give because they're all doing it at the same time?
When your best attacker is playing like this, it's ridiculous at this point. What are we to really do here?
I'm so sorry, but if you want to leave this football club, Enzo Hernandez, thank you for the goal that you scored in the semi-final of an FA Cup. We've been to multiple FA Cups. You can leave.
Whoever comes in, we have to be pretty much sure, guaranteed that whoever walks through the door on day one, they're going to respect.
I do like the idea of Xabi Alonso, but I am with you, Jace. There's something about it that doesn't feel quite right just now.
I can't quite put my finger on it either. So they will be looking. They've had a little moan about the fixture congestion they've got. We might see a slightly weakened side, like we did, a bit like we saw against Southampton in the semi.
We like B teams.
Hello and welcome to Inside Chelsea, the show for Chelsea fans, by Chelsea fans. This show is sponsored by BetMGM. Download the app or visit betmgm.co.uk, 18 plus, gambleaware.org. I'm Kweku Afari, and I'm joined by former Chelsea defender, Jason Cundy, and lifelong Chelsea fan and broadcaster, Matisse. Gents, I've sat here and we've done a few shows after some terrible performances, but the performance and result at home against a much-changed Nottingham Forest side, for my money, was one of the worst this season. Jace, what do you think about that game? It's
in a category.
Yeah.
There are many of them that you can pick from. Everton away springs to mind. Brighton springs to mind. They're all very similar, aren't they? Got well beaten on the day, conceding 3 goals. It's a worrying state. There's a real apathy around the club at the moment. I feel it. Mixture of anger and apathy when I come back to do the sports bar on Monday. And you can't excuse it. You know, you cannot excuse it. It's unacceptable. But there is a real pattern now. These results and performances, that, you know, you can't ignore them. 6 defeats on the spin in the Premier League. You know, in that time we scored 1 goal. I mean, you know, what do you want me to say? I actually thought after Leeds, I actually did feel that maybe there was a reaction to Liam losing his job. Callum's come in. I think he set us up really well against Leeds. Tactically, first half, he done really well. Second half, they had a go, but I thought we dealt with it very well. And then we're back to the same old, same old. Minute and a half into the game, 1-0 down. And that set the tone. That really was the game changer after a minute and a half. We never looked like getting back into it. OK, we hit the post, had a penalty, but largely we were well beaten again. And that's against a B team, right? Everton away, OK, can be a tough place to go. City found that out. Brighton in good form. Home against Forest, a side who have got their eyes on on a Europa League semi-final. No, that's unacceptable for me.
Matisse?
Yeah, it's abysmal. Absolutely abysmal, disgraceful performance. You would have liked to have thought that the FA Cup was a turning point, but I always felt in the back of my mind that could just be them getting up for a semi-final, playing for a medal potentially in the final and trying to get to that. The Premier League, what are they playing for, was always the question. Are they motivated to try and qualify for the Europa League and the Premier League? Are they motivated for the Conference League? Certainly, probably not. And even when I saw the 2 starting 11s, I thought, surely we're going to get something from these guys, and they just did not deliver. They were dominating in that first half. And it wasn't just the fact that, you know, they won the duels, Nottingham Forest, or they were aerially dominant or, you know, set pieces. They actually just played really good football, Nottingham Forest, for a team that had all the excuses in the world, focusing on the Europa League second leg, disjointed team, loads of changes. They looked like very cohesive. They looked like they had a plan. And yeah, we certainly didn't. Enzo, like you said, hit the post. I thought his performance first half was maybe something to look at. Jao Pedro, really good goal. Derry before the concussion, that was awful to see. Outside of that, nothing really much there. And again, loads of individual errors in that back line.
When I looked at the team, how were we going to get in behind them? We hardly got in behind them at all in that first half. And I think we really did miss the pace of Pedro Neto.
Yeah.
I thought Derry did really well, actually. He had showed some real nice touches. Threatened on the outside, which I love to see. I think we're too easy to come inside and keep ball. He threatened, did both. Give the fullback a real conundrum at times. And they picked the head injury, a real shame for him on his Premier League debut. But, you know, trying to get in behind teams. Even when Delap came on, I felt, OK, let's turn them around. Let's see if we can get in behind them. Never really happened. Yeah. And I thought, we're just so easy to play against.
Yeah, we are.
So easy.
But Jace, surely that's a mentality thing. Because I look at the starting 11, right? And you brought up the fact that Forest have rotated, have got eyes on the bigger prize. And you look at that team, you say, okay, Cucurella's starting, Enzo Hernandez is starting, Caicedo is starting, Cole Palmer's starting, Jao Pedro is starting. They're good players. And so to see the drop-off, to see a performance like that against Forest, the reason why it's more unacceptable to me is because that's a mentality thing. And I never believed in the notion of players down in tools until I saw us against Brighton and the Amex. I said, they down tools. That on the weekend at home in front of your home fans was unacceptable. And it's a mentality thing.
We all look for reasons why. I mean, there has been a real a worrying drop-off. And I just wonder whether we're looking back now at a side that has been flogged since the Club World Cup. Are we looking at a squad of players that perhaps don't have anything to give because they're all doing it at the same time?
Yeah.
It's not like there's ones and twos. Moises, where is that bundle of energy, breaking up attacks, snapping at tackles? Where is that Cucurella coming inside, being that number 8 that can get on the end of crosses? Where's the Cole Palmer that used to create things? Jao Pedro's had a real streaky form under Liam. And you can't keep looking to say you need him to deliver. We all need to deliver, but there's everyone off a cliff.
Yeah.
And I just wonder whether we think that maybe we're now looking back. Yeah, we won the Club World Cup. Are we looking at a squad of players that are shot?
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree. I would say that we can not only look at the previous summer before that, like you brought up on the previous show, Matisse. It was Euros for a lot of these players, then the season, then the Club World Cup, then the season, then the World Cup. And so, yeah, I can understand where you come from, Jason.
I'm not looking for excuses.
You're right.
I'm looking for reasons. It's happened, everyone.
At the same time.
But at the same time. Yeah.
I don't know. I think, obviously, I keep saying I think the depth has to contribute more. Obviously, there's a lot of injuries now out wide, so we had no wingers on the weekend. That doesn't help. But I feel like the depth just had to contribute a lot more than it has. At the moment, we can't pick a centre-back pairing. We have loads of centre-backs at the football club. Mamadou Sarr was brought in January. We've barely seen him. Josh Achampong, we barely see him. There's just too many players that we either don't see or when they do play, they don't contribute enough and they don't bring the level that is required to kind of keep us competing. So, that's all a recipe for disaster. And I do think some players, they might just be disinterested now and down in tools a little bit and just apathetic with the rest of the season. We'll see them probably try and get up for the FA Cup final against City. I don't think it works like that. I think you need a bit of momentum. I think you need a bit of confidence. You need a bit of form to go up against a team of that quality in the final. But they're definitely going to try and get up for that game. And the league, I don't see many good performances coming.
Yeah, and this is the word you've both used is apathetic, and that's the worst way to feel about your football club. When you don't feel angry anymore, you just feel nothing.
Well, I think there's a general feeling around the ground. I mean, it has been a really strange season. We've seen this before. It feels a little bit like the Potter, that season we just drifted into nothing, and it was like. And we still do have a final to get to, right? We still have to play. We've still got Spurs. And let me tell you, that last home game of the season, if we put in the sort of performance we did against Forest, the natives will not be happy. I tell you that for nothing. They will absolutely voice their anger. And we've got Liverpool away. We talk about that. That's a game that you should be getting up for. And I'm looking around. I just don't know. I can't see where the next win's coming from. That's how it feels right now. Where's the next win coming from?
That's what I see. And luckily, it's the end of the season, so we've only got a few more of these games to sit through. But I'm the exact same. And if we look at that game against Forest, just focus on some individuals. You brought them up previously. Moises Caicedo. What on earth has happened to him? We were having conversations before Christmas about, is he the best DM in the world? Like, we are so lucky to have him. That £100 million price tag looks like a bargain right now. Oh, my goodness. The drop-off has been crazy. And maybe it's what you're saying, Jace, the amount of football, but Matisse, what's happened to Caicedo? Where's the player that we saw before Christmas gone?
I don't know, because I rate him incredibly highly. He's a very, very well-rounded midfielder. He's got a whole load of attributes to pull towards. And it's Enzo Hernandez, if anything, in this season that we can really look to and say has been the better midfielder out of the two. And that's, I think that's a little bit surprising considering what we saw last season from Caicedo. So for some players like him, I can't understand it. I can't understand it with Cole Palmer. I can't understand even Cucurella's drop-off. I think the senior players that we rely on, that we lean to, that we know have quality, the level that they're producing right now is just unheard of from them. I can't legislate for it. I can't understand it. It doesn't make any sense. I get it from the players that I don't think of as highly of in terms of their quality, or their consistency or they're too young or whatever, but you can't make any excuses for the guys that I'm naming. They've been at the club for years. They've played at the highest level. They've played for their international teams. They should be having some self-pride as well in their own performance with the World Cup coming up. Just boggles my mind, some of the performances we're seeing.
Cucurella was given the pass. Remember the international break when Enzo Fernandez and Cucurella came out and talked about the football club, and a lot of football fans, not you, Jace, but gave Cucurella a pass because it's like he wasn't as harsh as Enzo Fernandez, but you were still critical. What I can't accept is in the aftermath of all of that, Enzo Fernandez has come back to the team and played relatively well. Scored in the FA Cup semi-final. Yeah. Cucurella's come back into the team and played even worse. So it's made those comments that you made during the international break look laughable.
Yeah, and you do your talking on the pitch. That's always been my thesis. You can come out. Everyone wants to hear what footballers have got to say, okay? Because we don't really get to hear much. They're the same old language. They use, little sayings. You never really get to know too much. Don't show me on the pitch. Yeah. That's where I go, right, that you're for me, you. Don't do your talking on the pitch. And that's where I was critical of both of them because they weren't doing it on the pitch at the time. Okay, Enzo's come back and actually he's done all right, but that to me, it's a situation that I don't know if the players know how to get out of it right now either. I just wonder what the training ground's like. I wonder how their approach to the week is. I wonder what their approach is to going away to Liverpool. What is the atmosphere like? We don't know because we ain't got access to that. But there's been a lot of changes at the club, and it does feel as though we're lurching towards the end of the season, not pulling as one.
Yeah, I could easily see a situation where you've got different social groups in that change room pulling in different directions or going off into their own corners, their own conversations. Who is unanimously pulling that team together right now behind the scenes and holding some players to accountability, to account, and kind of voicing what needs to be happening going forward, because there's nowhere to go for the rest of the season. The interim manager, we can't possibly put it on his doorstep, really. No. It is all on the players for the rest of the games of the season to figure it out for themselves. And sometimes you look for a team, and I've said this before, sometimes you look for a team, you see, not only do you see captains, but you see future coaches, you see future managers, because that's just how intelligent and how their understanding of the game is just that rich, that you look at them and you think, yeah, I can see a future for you in coaching and management. I look across that team and I just can't see who is going to galvanise and who is going to kind of coordinate and marshal this group on the pitch.
No Aspilicuetas, no Jorginhos, no Thiago Silvas, none of that ilk.
It's just free roam.
I look at what's happening at Manchester United. I know it's slightly different because they've only going to play 40 games this season. Yeah. But I look at Manchester United. I still don't think they're brilliant, but there is definitely like an energy around that ground. There's an energy you can feel. You can see Bruno Fernandes leading by example. It winds me up the way he gets sort of refs and goes down. But what you've got to admire is that he is leading that football club and he said, come with me. And I'm looking at Sesko now, looking at a different player. I'm looking at Cundy, I'm looking at Buemo. There's players in there, Kobe Mainu. And I'm not seeing that at our club.
Yeah.
And I want to see that.
You pointed to some Man United's best players. You hope when you're in a situation like this, you can rely on your best player. Our best player is Cole Palmer. He's not in form. It's his birthday, so happy birthday, Cole. But he's struggled, and we can't deny it. And I think I've been one of his biggest defenders. And this season, which is a terrible season for Cole Palmer, he's on 9 league goals. A lot of good players in the league aren't on that number. And so the quality is undoubted, but we also can't doubt the fact that he's in really bad form right now, and we're struggling as a result of it, Matisse.
Yeah,
I mean, when your best attacker is playing like this, it's ridiculous at this point. What are we to really do here? We've got a player with all this talent, all this ability, and he's not able to string it together. That penalty sums everything up. He never misses penalties.
Were you shocked?
I was absolutely, jaw dropped.
Were you shocked?
I was shocked because I thought...
But it wasn't a massive surprise.
No, for me it was because I thought there's other people. There's other people that can take that penalty. So if you're not confident and you're not playing well, I thought he's stepping up to take this because he really wants to redeem. He wants to kind of show, no, I've got something to contribute. Enzo Fernandez could have took that penalty. He was playing well. Jao Pedro could have took that penalty. He's always good for penalties. So I thought, wow, if you're taking this, you must really back yourself right now because you don't have to take this. Someone else could take it. Yeah, for me, his bread and butter is taking those penalties. If he's not scoring those, I was shocked still.
Well, he was never going to give up taking that penalty. That's his job in the Chelsea team. And I know we've got good penalty takers, but Cole Palmer on the pitch, he's always going to take the penalty. So
I mean, anyone can miss a penalty, right? Yeah, anyone can miss it. The best players in the world have missed a penalty. What I mean by that, it kind of summed up a little bit about the first half performance, kind of summed up a little bit about Cole. You know, there was, when he's missed it, it's like, yeah, of course he was going to miss it. You know, that's how it felt. Yeah. But I don't want to, you know, like I said, Baggio missed a penalty in the World Cup final. So
yeah. In terms of Cole Palmer, there's a lot of talk around him. Obviously, it doesn't really concern us too much in regards to this show, but him maybe not going to the World Cup as a result of his poor form. We've outlined that he's played so much football. Would that be a bad thing? I know in terms of the rep and the PR around Cole Palmer, it wouldn't be great for him to miss the World Cup, but say he doesn't get selected by Tuchel, is that a bad thing?
Well, on a personal level and a professional level, that will hurt because you only go every 4 years to World Cup. And we've seen some players miss out on World Cups because they picked up an injury towards the end of the season. When you consider from a Chelsea's fans' point of view, for Cole Palmer to have the summer off, well, in a selfish way, you can go, yeah, it's not the worst for us. But on a professional and a personal level, I hope the boy goes.
Yeah. What about you, Matisse?
From a selfish point of view, yeah, I think it'd be best if he didn't go. Personally, I don't think England are going to miss out much with the way he's playing right now. They've got a lot of options in that position. For him, he seems like he needs a break, like he needs a summer off to just recover, reflect, and recuperate. Because I do think that credit in the bank from that first season is going to start running out if it hasn't already, in terms of we can't keep leaning on that season. It's been 2 seasons since then, and we now need to see some performances.
Last year he did score 15 league goals.
Yeah, I think last season was like a 50-50 season in terms of chance creation was there. Yeah. I don't think the ball was being put in the back of the net for the chance creation that he was doing. I think his finishing dropped off second half of the season. The numbers were still good. I think the performances in the second half of the season, if we're being honest, were not good. Yeah. Now this season, it's just been complete nothingness, really. So next season, we really need a response. So personally, I'm not really trying to see him go to the World Cup from a Chelsea fan point of view, because I think England have got options anyway, and I think for him, he just needs to sit out it.
He's never quite looked the same since that injury. At the beginning of the season, actually, he looked quite sharp. Obviously had a brilliant Club World Cup. But since that injury, he was out for, I think, a couple of months, it wasn't. He's never, felt like his season has never quite got going. It's been quite stop-start, been truncated. He's been out again, then he had another couple of little niggles. Hasn't got going, hasn't got up to top speed. And now we're at the stage of the season where that ain't going to happen. You know, that ship feels like it's sailed. Yeah. So, yes, it's all about next season.
I do take my mind back to that night at Trafford against Man United, who were on their knees at the moment, or at that time. I think that changed everything for us. If we'd gone there and beaten them, and obviously we've got the injuries as well, the Sanchez red card, and the whole feeling around our club was different, and Man United went like that, and we went like that. But I feel like, I agree with you, Cole Palmer's not been the same since then, and it's tough to kind of put any blame on him, because how good he's been the last couple of seasons, but if your best player is not playing well, then where do you expect to be when your team is young as this? It's been tough for us. Jao Pedro is somebody that, if you take his whole season in totality, 15 league goals, all from open play. I think only Erling Haaland scored more open play goals in the Premier League than Jao Pedro. How have you assessed his season, and how do you assess his goal that he took really well against Forest on the weekend?
No, I mean, I think if you talk about player of the year, I think he probably wins it.
Yeah.
He had a really good spell under Liam. And he has developed as a centre-forward. When I first saw him play up top, wasn't convinced he had the attributes to be a top-class centre-forward. He could go and do a job. But he's really developed. His hold-up plays good, his link-up plays good. He kind of understands the role. Physically, not too many centre-forwards give Gabriel and at Arsenal a real run for their money. On both occasions, I thought he played really well. But he's now at a stage where he is Chelsea's number 9. There's no backup for him. You know, Liam comes in. I feel for him coming into a team that's down on its luck. How's he going to spark that? Because players around him aren't performing. So he is our number 1, number 9, and I think largely he has been probably our best player.
Yeah,
if you're going to vote, I don't see any other candidates jump out.
Not above him, no. I think considering at the start of the season, obviously the Club World Cup, that was an incredible tournament for him. Then there was a bit of a slow start. There was question marks. What is his position? Is he really going to be a centre-forward? I was quite concerned he wasn't necessarily going to be goal-hungry enough or be a true striker. The way he's responded to that start and just started banging in the goals and taking responsibility, big goals against Napoli, I just think it's been a lifeline a little bit for us at times. He's been a great outlet. There's been a lot of games we played 10 men. We've had a lot of, ill-disciplined suspensions where he's had to do a really difficult job at Old Trafford away, and he's had to link and bring others into play, hold the ball up. I just think, even when he's not scored, Leeds game, brilliant performances. So just a really good footballer. So that's encouraging.
Also, I think about narrative before he joined Chelsea in terms of his output in the Premier League. Yeah, he got double figures with Brighton, but he was called a penalty merchant.
Yeah,
I'll take
no
a this season.
Imagine
he did.
Imagine if he'd be on 20 goals.
And that changed the whole perspective, right?
Yeah.
Then you look at a £100 million player.
Yeah.
As a result of his goals this season, he's linked to Barcelona. Lewandowski is expected to leave Barcelona at the end of the season. Jao Pedro apparently is wanted by Barca. Can you see that one happening?
Well, I can see why they're interested, that's for sure. Like I said, his game, if you've watched him from this time last year to now as a centre-forward, he's a much more rounded centre-forward. He's got much more to his game. Kind of, as I said, understands the role, uses his body well. Because we're not talking about a unit here.
Yeah.
He's not Gyökeres. He's slightly slender, but he's quick. Technically, he's excellent. He goes down, you see him take players on. He's got such lovely balance, such lovely feet. And he's got a lovely composed finish on him. Okay, the goal he scored the other day was outrageous. But I've seen him, the goals that he took in the Club World Cup, the goals he took away at Napoli, he scores all different types of goals. So I can understand why he's caught the eye.
His contract expires in 2033, so it's going to be difficult for anyone to get their hands on him. But Matisse, are you shocked by the links to Barcelona? And could you see him being a player that only after one season at Chelsea leaves the football club in the summer?
To answer the first question, I'm not shocked because there's not a lot of strikers out there in the market. You look around, they've all kind of found their place. A lot of transfers over the summer, whether it be Osimhen, Gyökeres, Ekitike, Jao Pedro, everybody kind of made their move. So now there isn't much. You look across the top 5 leagues, you won't find many strikers above 20 goals. It's really bad. So that's someone that suits their style of play. That's someone that can, just fit into the La Masia kind of Barcelona way of playing as well. You can see he's very technically gifted, like Jay said. Do I see him leaving? Absolutely not. I think personality-wise, I think he'd want to stay. I think he'd want to try and bring this team to the level that he would have came in to bring them to. I think he would have that self-pride about him to not just kind of jump ship like that. But also, I don't think the ownership can afford to even enter a negotiation for his sale because they're already in a terrible spot with the fan base as it is. We're in a terrible spot in terms of the league and where we are as a club. We can't afford to be selling our best players because we will not be able to replace them in the current position that we're in. We don't necessarily have the finances with financial fair play, and we also don't have the pool with no manager and no real project to sell. So we have to keep our best players.
But if a player wants to go, can you do much?
That's a different scenario, isn't it? You change the rules then. If a player wants to go, more often than not now, at the elite level, if a player wants to go and there's a club that's willing to, as we saw with Liverpool in Isak last summer, the way that played out, it's very difficult for the club to hold on to the player. But then the price has got to be right. In the end, Liverpool played over £100 million. They doubled their money or there or thereabouts. That's business. But Matisse is right. We do not want to be selling our best players at all. We've seen a lot of players come into this football club over the last 3.5, 4 years. And there are 1 or 2 that haven't worked. There's 1 or 2 that have. And by the way, he ticks that box.
Definitely, he's a quality player, and I agree with you guys. Our player of the season for sure. All right, enough about that game. Let's talk about the dugout, and obviously it's Callum McFarlane at the moment. We all agree it's not his fault the results are going this way, but we do need a new permanent manager. Xabi Alonso and Xavi Hernandez have been linked to the job. Obviously, these are 2 managers that have won big things. We're a club in flux right now. If I was to ask you who you want, it doesn't necessarily have to be Xabi Alonso or Xavi. Who would you want to be Chelsea manager next season?
Well, I mean, Andoni Iraola, what he's done at Bournemouth has been quite remarkable, really. Yeah. They're on the cusp of Champions League football, European football for the first time ever. Half of their back 4 was sold in the summer. He's reintegrated players. He's got them playing in a lovely style, the way that it's an open, attacking style of football, and with a bigger budget and better players, which, let's be brutally honest, he's going to get that if he comes to Chelsea. And I think that there's a lot of players, we just spoke about Cole Palmer, that I think would like playing under his stewardship, the way that he sets up, the way that he encourages players to go and express themselves. And the way that he has got that team where they are right now, it's quite remarkable. Yeah. When you think about managers of the year, obviously Arteta's going to win it because of what he's done. And you've got a Brentford, what Andrews is doing. I think he comes into that category. They're just that rung below of overachieving by some distance. And he's got to come in with an open mind because we know the way that... And I think the club they've got to open their mind up as well about what they wanted, who they appointed, and how they saw the club going. Well, you don't sack a manager after 106 days if you haven't got that wrong. I think the club have to admit that mistakes have been made, and those mistakes you've rectified. Okay, you made that, but the next one, they've got to get this right.
Yeah.
This, and I've always said this, the most important thing a decision a club will ever make is who they employ as a manager.
Agreed.
That is the most important decision, and you cannot afford to keep getting that wrong. And there's been some moments. We seen with Maresca last season where he had to go and win the Conference League. We did win the Club World Cup. Well done. Things fell apart. That appointment of Liam turned out to be a disaster, and you could see it was in a tailspin. Got to get this one right.
Yeah.
So Iriola for me, I would not be unhappy at all if he rocked up.
Well, Iriola was the favourite last week. The favourite now is actually Xabi Alonso. It's a fit that, in my mind, doesn't quite work. Can you see that one happening, Xabi Alonso being the next Chelsea manager, Matisse?
I can't see it personally, but it would be my personal preference. I think he ticks a lot of boxes. I don't think any realistic option is going to tick all of the boxes because we're not in that position as a club. But if I look at him now, he's managed at Bayer Leverkusen. He's well overachieved there in terms of the success he's had there. Then he's gone to Real Madrid. I think unfairly kind of dismissed as early as he was, especially with the situation that they have maybe in the dressing room with Mbappe, Vinny. Maybe it wasn't it wasn't going to align anyway. But he's had that experience that will do him probably good in the future to have that big club experience with the egos. And he's a former player that I think the players can respect when he comes into the dressing room as well. He's going to be that type of coach that maybe gets involved in the training drills. You're going to have either the guy that stands on the touchline and you kind of want to impress and you look up to and you've seen his resume and his CV, or the guy that's going to impress you with his technical level and what he's achieved in his career, and you're going to kind of want to improve and learn from him and listen to him in that respect. I think you've got to go down one of those two routes. So, and he's been active recently enough as well, where it's not like he's been out in the cold and then you're bringing him back in. So yeah, I think he'd be the best option out there, but they all have an element of risk to it. I don't think there's any bona fide kind of like guarantees with any of the realistic options, but they need to show ambition with this appointment. They need to show that they have got a mindset about them that isn't purely based upon hiring in-house from Strasbourg or hiring someone that they feel like they can control and keep under their wing. They need to hire someone that's going to tell them this, that, and the third about the way this club has been run, and want their own coaching staff and potentially even want their own director as well for recruitment. So it can all be aligned. When you look at the other clubs that have been successful, Klopp, Edwards, whether it be Tiki, Pep, that sporting director is just as important as the manager. So Chelsea need to make sure that sporting director and that manager is in alignment.
Jace, Xabi Alonso, can you see that one happening?
I mean, look, Matisse is right. He caught the eye. There's a reason Real Madrid went for him. He had that unbelievable season at Leverkusen. Talk about overachieving there to win the Bundesliga over Bayern and Dortmund. You're doing something right. And then for whatever reason at Real, he said maybe the jump was too big too soon for him. Yeah, I mean, if he rocked up at Stamford Bridge, I wouldn't have a problem. It just doesn't feel right. And there's something about it that, I mean, people also talking about Cesc, that he might. I don't know whether we might be making a similar mistake. Yeah. I'd like to see Cesc where he goes next. What's his next job look like? I'd just wait and see. And I think because of what he done at Leverkusen and didn't quite work at Real Madrid, I might be tempted just to hold back on that one. But he comes with a great reputation.
100%. The reason why I quite like the Xabi Alonso one, personally, is at Leverkusen, he had to deal with, well, not had to deal with, but he used a lot of young players. That's what we've got right now. And then at Real Madrid, he had to deal with a board who pretty much controlled the transfers and he didn't really have much say. And I feel like if he came to Chelsea, he'd be dealing with a mixture of those situations. Young players, but also the knowledge that you're not necessarily going to be in control of the transfers and who comes in and out the door. So I do like the idea of Xabi Alonso, but I am with you, Jace. There's something about it that doesn't feel quite right just now.
I can't quite put my finger on it either. Maybe whether it's that...
Probably because he's former Liverpool player.
Yeah, no, I'm not. That's definitely not it. But I just wonder whether we need to see him again. And the Iriola one for me is he knows that the Premier League is a tough league to get right. Yeah. I think that's part of the Liam Rosenior problem. I know he played in England, but the manager is totally different. I like the way that he deals with the Premier League, the way he sets up, he gets it, knows it. And there's going to be no... And I know Xabi Alonso, of course, he played in the Premier League. That, to me, is a big box tick for me.
Yeah, no, I agree. You don't really hear many kind of notes coming out of an Iriola press conference. He knows how to deal with the media and also knows how to set up his team. Xavi Hernandez is an interesting one because, of course, he did a great job. Barcelona won the La Liga title, but his camp have come out and said that Chelsea have approached. talkSPORT reporting that Chelsea haven't made that approach to Xavi. So it's kind of stuck in limbo, really.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's got an impressive resume as a player and a manager. Would you be opposed to Xavi being the next Chelsea manager?
It's another one I'd be interested in. I think this group of players, whoever comes in, we have to be pretty much sure, guaranteed that whoever walks through the door on day one, they're going to respect. Because it's very clear that this group of players can turn it on and turn it off when they want to as well, which we've seen maybe in that Nottingham Forest game versus the Leeds game. It's the same interim in charge, same type of quality of team, maybe even worse from Nottingham Forest standpoint in terms of the rotation, the B team, and two polar opposite performances. So you need someone who's going to go in there and they're going to respect instantly and they're going to listen to. If you don't get that on day one, they've shown that they can basically just, throw games. And Xavi, I think Xavi will command that respect of his playing career and the fact that he's also won at Barcelona. I think it's quite important as well for me personally that we have a manager that's experienced, 2 games a week. I know we won't necessarily be playing it next year, but I don't want to just get a manager for next year. I'd like to think that the manager next year will be there for the year after and the year after. So I think if they've been able to juggle Europe and league campaigns and rotate and manage squads as well, I think that could be quite vital as well. But
also, whoever comes in, it's all well and good us talking about the next manager, what he looks like. I think the squad needs to be looked at as well. And if you're a manager coming in, I think you're well within your rights to say this squad still needs work. We still need some experience. And I hope whoever comes in, I hope the board do have a listen about what he sees as this squad. Now, I'm not saying he has complete autonomy, complete control. That's not what I'm saying. But I think the manager needs to come in and needs to be heard. Yeah. Because it's been well documented. We've said it here. That we do have holes in the squad still. Yeah. And I think that manager comes in has to have, or they have to listen to how he sees this squad and how he wants to work and what he could achieve with player A or player B coming into this squad.
Is it not like a catch-22 situation that we've got going on right now? Because any manager worth their salt will come in and say, I want to have a squad that I can be in control of. And so you're not going to get the top managers in the world because we haven't got the top squad. But then in terms of getting the top squad, you're not going to get top players if you haven't got a top manager in the dugout. So we're stuck in this limbo position where what goes first? Do we go and get the manager and then we go and sort out the squad, or do we set our sights on targets in terms of the players and then go and get the manager?
Personally, get the manager now, right? They must have an idea of who they want. Get the manager in place. But most football clubs now are run that way. Yeah. Most clubs, we saw what happened with Ten Hag at Manchester United, allowed too much control. Some of the players that he brought in completely wasted money. Well, then all of a sudden he goes, where are you going to move from there? Yeah. And then the next manager that comes in, Amorim comes in. Well, he had a squad of players that actually wasn't built for the three at the back he wanted to play. So there needs to be some joined up thinking. The squad needs to be looked after. There has to be a vision beyond the next manager. We're building a squad. Here's what you work with. But at the same time, you still have an input. Still listen about what type of player, what is the DNA of that player? What does player A look like? What's his age? What's his experience? What are his attributes? I think that conversation needs to take place as well, but not complete control.
You have to 100% buy into one sporting director and one manager and that partnership.
We've got 5.
And we've got 5. And we've got a revolving door of managers, so it's never going to work. You have to simplify it in terms of the directors, which is there's too many, and I don't think the quality is there either in terms of managing or managing a club of this size and the expectation. And then you've got to double down on that manager that you appoint in conjunction with that sporting director, and you've got to all push in the same direction and try and bring in quality. Football thinking first, obviously, you need to be going for players that you think are going to help you actually achieve things. And then you go for it in that way. But if you're going to dibble and dabble, Man United have done the same thing. They've been going through different managers. They've obviously gone through a bit of a transition ownership-wise there in terms of Ineos coming in. Directors have come in and out. You're not going to get any stability and you're not going to get any longevity that way. It's not going to happen.
Well, we've all talked about the squad ad nauseum. I think it's time for a good old-fashioned game of keep, loan or sell. We're going to go through the Chelsea squad, the current Chelsea squad, and you guys just tell me if you want to keep them, you want to loan them, or you want to sell them. Let's start with the goalkeepers. Robert Sanchez.
Well, in both of them, they're both number 2s, aren't they? Let's be brutally honest about this now. So whatever you do, one of them will probably go out on loan or be sold. Yeah. But for me, and this is going back to the conversation I've just had about Andoni Iraola, give me a goalkeeper. Give me. And Robert, I feel for him because he actually was having a very good season until Liam came in and wanted him to start playing keep ball in his own box. It's not his game. And that affects, I think, the way he is as a goalkeeper.
Yeah.
And we've seen actually now, since he's going a bit longer, he's not being asked to take the riskiest passes. I think you're getting back that Robert Sanchez. So I still think he's a value at the club, but as a number 2.
So you keep him?
I'm keeping Sanchez as a number 2. Jorgensen, for me, is not of the same level as Sanchez. I think maybe he'd be the one that needs to move on either out on loan or sold.
Okay.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But it would be difficult to convince Sanchez to become a number 2 after being a number 1. Now that, so...
Okay.
Mentality shift.
Pretty easy. We'll run through the defenders really quickly. Marco Cucurella.
Keep,
yeah.
Toss in.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's going to be a lot of these centre-backs that are in that same kind of position. Xabi is another one. He's on at West Ham. Badia Shield. It's good to see. We haven't mentioned Cole will come back, actually, off the bench at half-time. And Mamadou Sarr, I think he may well be the future. I think we'll see one of Tosin and maybe Badia Shield, maybe 3, Desazé as well, make way in the summer. They wouldn't be surprised if they all end up leaving the club at some point.
Yeah, I think for me, you've got to have wholesale changes back there. A lot of those guys have been here for a few years. They've either struggled with injuries or they've just not been good enough. Maybe a mixture of both. Maybe the injuries have led to them not being able to recapture some of their form. Badia Shaw in particular, we saw early days under Potter that he was actually playing quite well in that first 6 months. Then the injuries.
How do we feel about Trev?
Trev, for me...
I'm keeping Trev.
I'll keep Trev.
I'm keeping Trev, but I just wonder, with this new saying, it comes off the bottom, it's pure profit. I'm hoping that does not influence a decision, but it wouldn't surprise me because of...
Trev is a tricky one for me because I don't think Trev is any more than a squad player at best. I wouldn't keep Trev if it's at the cost of someone like Acheampong. I think at this point, Acheampong is getting so few minutes that he could easily justify and make a case to leave. And I think we need 2 new centre-backs. Levo Colwell is obviously got to be kept. So you have to make room. And if it's between Acheampong and Chalobah as the other centre-back plus 2 more, because I think 4 is a normal number to have, plus Hato's filled in there a bit as well, I'd keep, then I think for me, I'm selling Trev. I think Trevor's got a very clear and obvious cap and ceiling to him at this point now. He doesn't really dominate the box in terms of aerially as much as he needs to. And there's been too many mistakes even from him this season. The one thing he does have a go in his favour in his durability. Doesn't get injured, which is probably why it is a bit of a tricky decision because the rest of them are either injury prone or they're really not good enough.
So just clarify, we're selling Tosin and Badia Shield.
I think Tosin, Desazé, Badia Shield, I think those will... And Fofana's another one for me. I think his days at Stamford Bridge are done. His injury record, plus his performances of late, his body language. I don't know. I don't even know if he wants to be here anymore. I'm not getting that. See, the thing I love about going back to Trev, I get Trev represents me on that field. The way he plays. He's never going to be the greatest centre-back in the world. We know that. But I tell you what he has got. He's got a heart as big as a bucket and he'll make sure he puts himself on the line. I don't get that from Fofana. I'm not getting that vibe. Acheampong, this kid's a Rolls Royce. And you're right, we do not want his growth to be stunted, but he needs to be given chances as well. But he is the future. There's no doubt about that.
I agree. So we're selling Tosin, we're selling Badia Shield, you're keeping Trev, you're selling Trev, by the sounds of Matisse.
I think so.
And then obviously keeping Colwell. Fofana, I think we're all selling Fofana, right?
I mean, it might be hard to move him. You're not going to get... He's on big money. I don't know how much longer he's got left in his contract, but it may be one of those that goes out on loan, potentially.
Yeah. Okay. Midfield, let's move on to that because I feel like defenders, it's, again, we're sitting on the fence with some of them, but some of them will definitely go. We'll pick out some key ones. Enzo Hernandez, keep or sell?
Well, I'm looking at all of them. And there's none there I'm looking at go, he has to go.
Yeah.
I think the centre-back conversation is far easier because there is so many players that are of a similar quality. I'm looking at the midfield. I mean, the only problem you've got with Lavia is his injuries. And I feel for him because he's a class act.
Yeah, he is.
He is a class act, but staying fit is a major problem for him. I'm looking at that. I'm not unhappy at all with any of them.
So we'll route through the midfielders who've got down on the sheet. Enzo Hernandez, Cole Palmer, Dario Suga, Andre Santos, Moises Caicedo and Romeo Lavia. I'm assuming we're all keeping Enzo Fernandez, despite the fact that he might want to leave.
Yeah.
Cole Palmer, obviously.
Yeah, that situation may well be taken out of his hands. And the club may look at that and get some money back. I don't quite know if we'll get any back what we paid for him, but I think it'll be still a huge amount. If he wants to go, I'd say, you're not... You're not Cole Palmer for me.
Yeah.
So look, if he wants to go, I wouldn't stop.
Yeah, I'm not pushing to sell anyone, but I am thinking that the midfield does lack a certain profile, and I think.
So you're keeping Enzo Fernandez?
Yeah, I'm keeping Enzo Fernandez. I'd keep.
Even though he wants to leave the football club.
I think he is open to leaving the football club if the football club doesn't seriously.
No, he wants to live in Madrid. That's what he said.
For me, I think he's testing the waters and he's looking at what and who we bring in the summer, managerial-wise and player-wise. And I think if we don't start taking things seriously and bringing in players of note and of quality and managers of, serious pull and serious pedigree, then I think he's open to leaving. And, I completely understand that.
See, I feel like...
I think there's a lot of players in this squad that may have not have said it publicly, but would also be open to leaving. Chelsea could finish in 10th. Chelsea could finish in a position where they don't qualify for any European football. We don't know who the manager's going to be. That could be a very uninspiring appointment. I don't see any reason why any top player in this team, bar Reece James, who just signed a deal, Caicedo, but they're the anomaly. I don't see why players wouldn't be questioned. The top players wouldn't be questioned in the future.
Enzo
Fernandez has performed this season.
By the way...
performing in a team that's ninth in the league right now.
Yeah, but he's been one of our better performers this season.
After we lost against PSG, one of the leaders in the team was asked in an interview after the game, and he's talking about his future being uncertain. And then he goes on a live stream during the international break, saying he wants to live in Madrid. I'm so sorry, but if you want to leave this football club, Enzo Fernandez, thank you for the goal that you scored in the semi-final of an FA Cup. We've been to multiple FA Cups. You can leave.
There was a time Bernardo Silva wanted to leave Man City. There's been times where...
He had won Premier League titles.
Yeah, I know.
This guy's won. What's he won? What's he done?
There's been times where our legends have flirted with the prospect of potentially leaving.
Of course.
Did John Terry even hand in a transfer request? I can't remember.
Do you know what? On the back of all this, he is in negotiation with a new contract.
Yeah.
And I think that from my understanding of the situation is, this was part of a negotiation tactic to start flirting. Now, look, I don't know whether he deserves a new contract. I don't know I don't know how much longer he's got left. I saw Everton away. I saw him at Everton away.
Thank you.
Right? And that was... And I don't want to just pick on him because as a team, we were abysmal. But he's meant to be one of our leaders. Oh, wow. That was low.
Very low. And you mentioned our previous legends, right? I remember Drogba, after Mourinho got sacked, saying, this club feels like it's broken, something that I want to leave. He had won back-to-back Premier League titles. I'm sorry. He
can't win titles in this team. Reece James can't win titles in this team. We can't start now saying our best players are not winning titles, so how dare they want to leave this football club? The reason we can't win titles is not down to our best players or the players that are performing. It's down to the players that are being recruited alongside them, the managers that are being recruited to manage them, and the overall running of the football club. Enzo Fernandez, in my opinion, is more than capable of winning majors in his career. And if he leaves this football club, the only clubs that he'll be linked to is teams that want to compete for leagues and for Champions Leagues. And we either find that out the hard way or he ends up staying. But we're not in that position.
We're not that squad. We're not that team. And there's definitely ambition. There's definitely a belief that they want to be up there challenging. Our second half of this season has been a disaster.
Yeah,
it has been. It wasn't that long ago that people were talking about us being in and around the top four, getting Champions League football again. And that dream has sailed. That has left a long time ago. And it's amazing how just those games, you can go from challenging to falling into the bottom half of the table. But Matisse is right. This squad is not built for challenging titles right now. It's being built to challenge for Europe, in and around European places. Yeah. And that's a drop-off.
We'll do forwards and wingers next week. But now it's time for our bet builder of BetMGM. Remember, you can download the app or head to betmgm.co.uk. Liverpool versus Chelsea. This is a fixture that hasn't necessarily favoured us, especially going to Anfield.
Yeah.
I think last time we won there was 2021. Under Thomas Tuchel, Mason Mount scored. But yeah, it's never been a happy hunting ground for us. I'll go first in terms of what I think will happen. I do think Liverpool are not a great side this season. No. We're not amazing either, but I think we can go there and get a point. I think we can go and get a draw. So I'll go in for a draw in this one.
I mean, they are not in great form. Liverpool. There's not a great deal to choose between us and them. We have had a bad month, terrible month, and that has been the difference between the two sides. I don't look at this Liverpool side and say it's vintage. I mean, we're talking about managers changing. There's a lot of talk about Slot leaving. I think maybe Xabi Alonso will be looking at that position a little closer. But I still think that we will concede. And, I can see both teams scoring, so that's what I'm going to go for.
Yeah, I'll go for over 4.5 corners for Chelsea. I can't go for a win, unfortunately. I can't go, really ambitious with any predictions right now, so I just keep sticking to my corners.
Is that what we know? You just go for the corners?
Yeah. Until we improve, I'm going for corners.
I've gone for a draw. Cundy's gone for both teams to score, and Matisse gone for over 4.5 corners. You can see the odds on the screen right now. Before we do go, let's look ahead to the end of the season, the run-in. Liverpool this weekend, then it's City in the cup final, then Spurs at home, Sunderland away to finish off the season.
Yep.
How do you think the season ends for us?
Deary me. With no real confidence. I don't know when our next win is coming from. I'm worried about Spurs at home. I'm concerned about that.
So am I.
Especially after what I saw against Forest. FA Cup, on a one-off game, I think the players are more than capable of going to Wembley and turning it on. But it wouldn't surprise me if we come away with a couple of draws and a defeat in the last 3 games. It wouldn't surprise me at all if that's how it plays out.
Yeah, same, to be fair, and that's a really sad kind of place to be. Matisse, how do you think the season ends? Do we lift silverware? Because you've been very strong on, don't care about European qualification, you want a trophy. Do you think that happens this season?
To be honest, I don't. I don't think it will happen, but I do think we'll give it our best shot. I do think they'll rise for the occasion on the one-off, because I think they'll want to try and win that trophy, but it's going to be incredibly difficult. If Man City are seemingly looking like they might miss out on that Premier League title, they're going to have more than enough motivation to try and send Pep Guardiola out on a high, Bernardo Silva out on a high, John Stones out on a high, with a domestic cup double.
We need to turn up and they need to have a drop-off.
Yeah.
Which both things are possible, by the way. We saw what Everton did second after them.
Yeah.
So it's not inconceivable to think that we could get one over. And we saw, actually, those players at Wembley can perform. We saw that first half.
Yeah.
We know who the better side is. We're going to go into that underdogs. But we've got to go into it a little bit of form. It starts against Liverpool. Put our best foot forward. Have a go. It was so disjointed. I know we go to Forest again, but it's so disjointed against Forest. We need to go into that final and the Spurs game with some sort of performance. We need to try and get back to what we did against Leeds and hopefully against Liverpool.
Do you think we could do that, Matisse? You reckon we can kind of recapture that form that we found against Leeds at Wembley and turn up for a cup final? Because we've lost, 3 FA Cup finals in a row? We need to win one.
Yeah, I do think we can get up for it, but fine margins, they've got a lot more deciders right now than we do in terms of in front of goal. We're really just clinging on to Jao Pedro. Cole Palmer, we would like to think would turn up in a game like that and try and help us get a few goals or assists, but he's not looking anywhere near it. You're going up against the Cherkis and the Dokus and the Haalands right now.
But do you know what?
They are purring a little bit in front of goal.
Yeah, their team may well be a little bit different.
But hopefully it's rested
because they do have their eyes on a bigger prize.
Yeah.
So we're quite fortunate, I think, that this game comes in where it does.
That's true.
So they will be looking. They've had a little moan about the fixture congestion that they've got. We might see a slightly weakened side, like we did, a bit like we saw against Southampton in the semi.
We like B teams.
Fingers crossed we get a result at Anfield and we do City in the cup and we leave the season with some silverware. But that's it for another episode of Inside Chelsea, sponsored by BetMGM. Download the app or visit betmgm.co.uk, 18+, gambleaware.org. We'll be back on Monday to look back on that Liverpool game. Thank you very much, Jace.
Cheers, Kweku.
Cheers, Matisse.
Thank you.
And on 3, 1, 2, 3.
Up the Chelsea.